In just a moment, and here we go. What's up, Hacksters? Welcome to MCU Monday. Today I have a really cool thing for you. This is the SoloKey, and we have a few different editions to take a peek at. So first up, the SoloKey is the first open source two-factor authentication device with FIDO2, which is a two-factor auth protocol that is used by a number of other devices, such as the HyperFIDO and stuff like that. And it is super cool. So I have a couple different versions here. Here is one that has USB-A and its little silicone sleeve here. I got these at Crowd Supply Teardown earlier this year, and this one came with a little lanyard guy as well. Here's a USB-C edition, and there's also the Solo Tap, which has NFC for your little mobile devices and stuff. This one also came with little red and black silicone sleeves. And we're going to take a look at some pages that show better views of these, because I'm still rebuilding my setup after the break-in. Also, here is a Tomu, which is a tiny little device that is not the same, but relates to the upcoming Somu version, which tucks inside of your USB port on your computer. It's a USB-A port size, so that it just hides in there and you can have it constantly connected and you can play around with reprogramming it and stuff. Super cool. So let's take a look. First up, the main page gives you a bunch of information about it. The circular login, open source, easy, fantastic. For businesses, for individuals, for developers, blah, 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 blah. Nah, 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 nah. It is open source. So what does that mean? First up, here we have this USB-A, USB-C, and Solo Tap with NFC versions. I think right now that only exists as a USB-A version with NFC, and it doesn't quite work with Apple iOS devices yet, but hopefully soon. And there's more information about that in the FAQ, which we'll get to in a minute. But yeah, so the one that I have with USB-A is a SoloKey Hacker key, which goes for $35 and allows you to reprogram it using Python 3. And there's already immense documentation on this. This was, I think, funded over Kickstarter, the regular SoloKey, a while ago. So good. And you can choose whether you get just the USB or the tap version with NFC. So if you go for the USB only version, this one that I have, with this really satisfying little clicky button, then that's $20, and then the one with NFC is $35. And that's just from solokeys.com/products/solo-hacker. They have all their stuff on GitHub here, on github.com/solokeys/solo, including all these different tools for software, and their documentation actually is on this GitHub repo as well. But there's some really interesting stuff about working with the chip, which is an STM32 chip. It's got, I think, 256 kilobytes of flash memory so that it can do different types of encryption. There's a lot of information about that in the technical documentation. This goes really deep, and I do not have a lot of experience with this stuff, but that's partly why this is such a cool device, is that if you're interested in working with or developing two-factor authentication devices with hardware, or even if you're just like, you know, I rely on these devices to keep my Google accounts and stuff safe, you know, and all kinds of different accounts you can hook up to this device. You know, if you want to know more about how that actually works, because that's sort of a big part of the spirit of security, then this is a great device to do that with. And right now it all relies on Google Authenticator, but they're working on setting it up with a few other options. In the GitHub also, you've got some tools, information on working with the hacker version, and more information down here. Oh yeah, it supports both FIDO2 and U2F standards, which is very cool. So the hacker version lets you customize its firmware, so you could change, for example, the LED color that happens when you plug it in. I just set this up with one of my Gmail accounts, and it does, you know, it's very simple. You just go to myaccounts.google.com and then plug in your key. once it prompts you to, after entering your password, so no one can like add one of these to your account without your approval. And then under the security settings, you choose the option for login to add a two-factor authentication device. And they actually recommend, if you have multiple two-factor auth devices, that you add more of them, because otherwise, you know, if you lose one of the devices, then you're kind of SOL. But there's another thing that's really useful with using these kinds of devices, which is that I've been using it with Gmail for ages. And you can also download backup codes. For example, if you have a device that doesn't accept two-factor auth tokens, you can use a backup code instead that you can save in a secure place, and that'll replace the use of a physical key. So in terms of the logistics of using two-factor auth, it's highly recommended, because good security often involves having something you possess, like this, and something that you know, like a password, and then the combination of the two makes it really strong. So someone can't just like yoink this off of your belt or whatever and get into your accounts, nor can they, you know, see you type your password in remotely or like install a keylogger or something. They have to have the physical device as well. Very cool. And I love that the little USB-A residing version, the Somu is going to be about this big, is so unobtrusive, and that's a good way to sort of hide that you're using it as well. But yeah, there's all kinds of cool little hacks that you can do with this. They tell you about key generation, how that works, which I think this is going to be fascinating. They say the masked implementation of AES is planned but not yet implemented. Currently it's normal AES encryption. There's build instructions for getting your dev environment ready. There's programming instructions. And it says that to program Solo, you'll likely only need to use the Solo tool, which is Python 3. Fascinating. Really useful. I think that that Python is a really friendly language for someone like me who isn't super great with software, and it actually makes it seem approachable, which is cool. Now, the thing with the two versions of the SoloKey is that, I mean, besides being different USBs, this one is a regular Solo, and this is the Hacker version. The Hacker version can be converted into a secure version. They don't recommend relying on the Hacker version for actual security, because it's possible that someone in your system could rewrite the firmware on this and therefore make it not secure. You can convert the Hacker version into a secure version, which would be unhackable. It basically locks it from programming, but you can't reconvert a secure version back into the Hacker version so that you'd be able to reprogram it for obvious reasons. So yeah, it's really flexible. It seems really flexible. I love it. There's like application ideas and stuff. Oh yeah, you can also check this out. You can try out your ideas using a Nucleo 32 board as well. You don't even have to have one of these. You can test it out with one of those guys as well. So there's a really great getting started guide. I recommend checking out the Somu, which was just founded on CrowdSupply, or funded on CrowdSupply, and manufacturing was almost done as of October 30th. So, you know, if you're going to go ahead and pre-order for the next round, I would imagine, yeah, it says orders placed now, shipped December 4th, 2019. Yeah, so, you know, it'll apparently ship in the past. No, no, I would assume that it will ship soon, though, if they go through this manufacturing run. Very cool. And since they hit their stretch goal of $50K, they got up to almost $64,000. They should be offering a tie-dye case, which who doesn't love that? This is a really good resource, actually, not just about the Somu, which is the little tiny one, but also for the SoloKeys project in general. They tell you about the trustworthy nature of it, what sort of a quick overview of FIDO2. It works with Google, Twitter, and GitHub accounts, plus other stuff, or for Microsoft, passwordless login, and stuff like that. There's a stretch goal of hardware-backed authentication. There was some other cool stuff about this. Oh yeah, you can play around with adding FIDO2 or WebAuth into your website. Some questions about how secure it is, and what about physical attacks and malware, which this whole system, right? The idea is that you have something that you possess or own and something that you know. So the idea is that, you know, yes, if someone gets hold of one of these things, they'll be able to get into your account unless you also have a password on it. That's sort of the whole point. Like, this makes it harder to get in if you just have a password, and then the password makes it harder to get in if they just have this. You've got some comparisons to other keys on the market, as well as the regular Somu board, which is what I have here, for which there is actually some work being done around getting that to work also as a security key. Actually, I had this pulled up just a second ago. Yeah, let's pull this up real quick. So this is actually in the Somu discussion list. This is the regular non-security optimized one, which has been around for ages, designed by Tim Ansell, aka Mithro. And there is a thread from earlier on using Somu itself as a two-factor auth device, but it's really not designed for it, so the Somu is kind of better for that. You can also see other ones like the FOMU, the FPGA-based Somu, is another one that you can explore. These aren't directly related to SoloKeys, they're just other forms of this tiny form factor device. But in the middle there, you can see the Somu, which is made by SoloKeys. There's a really exhaustive FAQ, which I like. They talk about what it's compatible with, and can you use Solo for OpenGPG or SSH? Not yet, but you know, some other things. Going back to the crowdfunding campaign for Somu, there's some specifications, designs, and prototypes, and what I think is a really adorable little video about you know, how to make a Somu out of a regular SoloKey. You see the full-size one here at the start. They put it in the washing machine. You go for an hour. Suddenly the pants are tiny, and so is the Somu. Lol. Well played, Somu. And they talk about their manufacturing plans and stuff. So there's all kinds of information about the project. They're being very transparent. They give you a ton of documentation. It's pretty affordable. You can easily convert it to a super secure version. There's all kinds of good stuff here, and I think it's worth checking out if you are looking for more ways to support or to add two-factor authentication to your existing accounts, or just to learn more about it as a security enthusiast. There's so much interesting stuff here. And then finally, if you are part of a company or running an event or something, you can do enterprise orders and get like personally branded ones. And then that would be a really pretty cool handout, like something that people aren't just going to throw away, you know? Super cool. That is SoloKeys. Thank you again for tossing me one of these at Crowd Supply Teardown this year. And I can't wait to see more from this project. I think it's fantastic. They're just coming out with more and more different versions of it, so it's compatible with more stuff. And they seem like really good people. And you can get involved with the project yourself on GitHub. Just go to github.com/SoloKeys/solo. That's what I got for you today. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome rest of your MCU Monday, and hack on.